thing billowing, bursting forth with the power of 10 billion butterfly sneezes.
This is Wine, Money, and Song. And if you're interested in wine and you want to learn about the best values in wine, please subscribe. Today I want to explain why I do not use the 100-point scoring system. Now, back in the 70s, 80s, Robert Parker's Wine Advocate became very popular and was the Bible to all of America's wine drinkers. And he used the scale from 55 to 100. And it was his scale. And I feel anyone else who's using the 100-point system is basically either ripping him off or just they didn't have it in their brain to come up with something else. I know that Genesis Robinson uses a 20-point system, which she's always used. And that's her system, and that's fine. But to me, it's more important how to describe the wine instead of a number system. And I'm going to show you why I don't use that number system. So I'm going to give you reasons why I don't partake in using that scale. First of all, whenever you see wine ratings, they start at 90 and they go to 100. So how is that a 100-point system? To me, that's a 10-point system, 90 to 100. Now, I know that some people rate wines below 90 points, but you never see it unless you're buying the subscription from the wine writer himself, or you download it online. And anyone who advertises wine, they only show you the good scores. They don't show you the bad scores. But the one problem I have, I'm going to give you a list of 3 wines that shows you the disparity with the same wines. Now, one of the wines is 2005 Dominus. It gets a range of 97 high and 92 low. That's 7 points. But considered 7 points from 90 to 100, that's a big disparity. Anything more than 3 points to me is a large deviation. If the ratings are 95, 96, and 97, I get it. But having 7 points out of 90 to 100, that's a big disparity. Also on the list, Chateau Lafite 2000, 100 points down to 93, 7 points again. Now, how can a wine be perfect in one person's eyes and then it's a 93, which is a good score, but that's a big difference. Out of 10 points, you're 7 lower. And 2009, Coestanel. Now, Coestanel 2001 got a lot of great write-ups from all the wine press. And there was one writer, John Gilman, who I happen to like. He has a more balanced, elegant style that he enjoys. And he just ripped apart the 2009 Coestanel. And the problems he had with it were, it was so ripe and so foreboding. I think one of the quotes was, the unfortunate part about 2009 Coestanel is that someone's going to have to drink it in the future. And I think he gave it in the 50s or something. I don't know what the heck it was. And he did the same thing to Chateau Pavie from Saint-Emilion. He gave it a 47 to 52, and everyone else was 95, 96, 97. Now, what does that say? Well, there's difference of opinion, but you're getting censored. You don't see it. They hide those. And you know why? Because everyone's trying to sell wine. Even the wine writers, believe it or not, if they give bad ratings and everything, they're not welcome back to the chateau, to the estate. And people don't buy the wines. They don't read the publications. So sensationally high scores fuel the market and fuel their subscriptions. And James Suckling is known as a high marker. He just climbs higher and higher. And the theory is he does that because he's always at the top of the list. You read his rating first because he has the highest points. back in 2003, Chateau Pavi, Saint-Emilion, Parker just exuded praise on it, and Genesis Robinson from England, she did not like the wine. She did not like the wine, and she gave it a low score. And Parker went after her, called her a revisionist and not progressive, and just tore her apart. And there was a catfight in the wine press. And to me, it's simply a question of style. And probably the biggest problem I have about wine ratings, now you can have disagreements like that, and that's fine. And you have to find the own style that you like and find a writer that's similar to your style that you like. But to me, what's comparable? Because if you have points, is a 100-point wine from Burgundy comparable to a 100-point Bordeaux? Is a Chardonnay comparable to a white Burgundy from France and a Napa Chardonnay? It can't be. It can't be. They're totally different. And I just find the only things that are comparable, and you can't even compare a wine from Pauillac to a wine that's made in Saint-Emilion because they use different grapes. The soil's different. Vintage characteristics can be very different across the river. And to me, it's not fair to rate those wines against each other. To me, you could only compare one chateau with itself. You can compare Haut-Brion to Haut-Brion with different vintage characteristics. Napa Valley Cabernet, Dominus, you can compare with other vintages of Dominus because they're only made a certain way. Just consider in Burgundy that you can have someone who owns a vineyard and it's split into 10 different owners. And the guy has 10 rows here, the other guy has 10 rows there. You taste the wines from the same year and they taste totally different. So they're not comparable. They make the wines differently. They treat the grapes differently. So they're not comparable. I remember one time on a Burgundy tasting trip, one of my fellow workers, we were at a white Burgundy producer, and he says, I really like your Merceau more than I like the Polini Montrachet, and I grabbed him and I said, they're not comparable. You're a professional. Act like a professional. Only compare Polini with Polini, at least if you have to, but it's not comparable. Wines from different areas. You could like it more than another one, but they're not comparable. And that's where I have the problem. So what's my answer? My answer is forget about the freaking scores. Forget about those things. Forget about them. It's so flawed and it's imperfect. Read the words that each writer writes about the wines. And just in those words, in your mind, you can imagine what the wine tastes like. Now, let me use two examples. A wine is very seductive, ripe, luscious, and has great length and purity. That sounds pretty damn good to me. That's a type of wine I would love to taste. Or the wine leaves an impression on my palate of a rocket going off in my mouth. And it explodes, it dominates me, and it blows my taste buds out. Now, that's an actual wine write-up. Now, personally, I don't want a rocket going off in my mouth. I spent too much money on dental services over my life for rockets to be going off inside my mouth. So read the words. Don't look at the ratings. Go through them. And these people are working hard to give you information. But understand it's a wine business. And they're selling wine. They're promoting wine. Although they're trying to be independent, a guy like Robert Parker, I have all the respect in the world. He was very independent, couldn't be bought out. And I'm not saying other people can be, but read the words. Forget about the ratings. That's why I don't use the 100 rating scale.
Got to be the going, not the getting there, that's good.